So, okay, cool. So, hi everyone, welcome. This is our first online lecture for Digital Nomad World, and I'm speaking with Miguel today. So Miguel, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and where you're from? I think it might be muted.
Yeah,
there we go.
I needed your permission. I needed your permission to talk.
Okay, good.
So,
right.
First of all,
so let's start again.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be part of this show, and not only being part of it, it's just getting it started, being the first guest is a pleasure. And yeah, so what about me? I'm Miguel from Portugal, and I've been a digital nomad for the last 4 years. And I basically, as soon as I finished my studies, I had a touch of what would be my corporate life, everything I always believed I wanted, and I quickly realized that's nothing that what I want. I want freedom, I want to travel, and then I discovered this digital nomad concept. I could work from my laptop and live wherever and travel nonstop. And I just jumped in with zero knowledge of this world. What I do today has nothing to do what I studied back then. But yeah, I basically had a strong decision. I want to become digital nomad, and I just bought the one-way ticket and built my businesses on the road, which is TravelB4Settle, my personal one, which is basically targeting mainly the Portuguese market to help people like start this lifestyle, because in Portugal it's still a myth. People don't believe people can work online and travel the world. And then more recently I started Remote Portugal, which is it's more a mission-based project, also in the remote workspace, basically not helping people do the transition, but helping companies and infrastructures, and we have a lot of events, basically to raise the awareness on this world and inspire and educate everyone and companies about this and how to transition as successfully as possible. So yeah, that's about me.
Yeah. So you started off by going straight from your studies into becoming a digital nomad. So I guess why did you choose that? Like, did you start after your studies like a normal job and kind of realize that wasn't for you? Or had you already kind of had this idea that you wanted to travel and work? I guess, what did you study? Was that kind of an industry that you could travel with?
So that's an interesting question, because back then I was sure it was not compatible. Now that I know a little bit more about this world, my idea is changing. So basically, I'm a chemical engineer, and on my last semester, I did an internship in one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world, Bayer, in Leverkusen, Germany. And I had it's a massive company. I had the opportunity to stay there with them, big salary, and the internship was enough for me to realize I don't want any of that. I don't want that kind of stability now. I don't want a big salary now. I just want freedom. So yeah, my decision before finishing was, okay, I'm gonna finish my course and I'm gonna find a job somewhere, stay there for a year or two, and then move on. So I had this digital, not digital, but this nomad concept already.
Yeah.
But then I discovered there was this a webinar, this couple that I was following, that they were showing how possible it is to just work on your laptop and be wherever you want. So I ended up buying their course, and I jumped in this lifestyle, and yeah, that was it. Okay. I'm gonna change my background because I'm too dark. Sorry, background.
No, that's fine. Go for it.
Is better?
Yeah, that's better. That's great. Okay, cool. So you were studying and then you tried a little bit of work abroad and you kind of wanted to expand on that kind of idea of working and traveling. And then, do you remember the name of the couple that you did the course of? Were they Portuguese?
No, they're not Portuguese. They are Kiwis. They are New Zealand.
Okay.
New Zealand.
And that,
Kiwis. Kiwis. It's easier. I don't remember their
and so that
names.
inspired you then to start your
Yeah,
own.
they inspire me. World Night. World Night.
So when you got started, were you working whilst you started building up? So I'm going to guess that you started with your Instagram with TravelB4Settle. Was that your first kind of, I guess, entrance into trying to work online and work remotely?
Yeah.
I guess if you could tell us a little bit about how that got started or what kind of inspired you to start your Instagram channel, and I guess how you've built it up today.
So yeah, that's actually one of the problems of these mentors, which is they normally give you a narrow perspective of what you can do. So we at the beginning we ended up following a little bit of their steps, and their steps started by building an audience. And we started at the beginning we started like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and Instagram started like growing faster, and we fell in the mistake of like, which is a very common mistake. We fell in the Instagram roller coaster, which is like we became very dependent on the Instagram, and we invested a lot of our time in Instagram, and we grew and we earned amazing things on it. But we did not do it because we really wanted to. We were just following some steps, and we kept going on what was working well, until there was a massive algorithm change, and our business was all on one platform, and there was a big algorithm change, and we lost like 60-70% of what we had. So we then realized we cannot rely our business on one platform, because platforms can die from day to night. So and there we decided we need to diversify our business. We need to focus on our website that is ours and no one can take it from us. So yeah, but that was more or less our steps into it.
So can you give us any examples of, I guess, how you started making money from setting up your Instagram? Like anyone can kind of start an Instagram page, but I think it takes a lot of planning to start generating an income from it. I guess whilst you started your Instagram, were you working as well, or were you able to dedicate all your time into setting that up?
So yes, since we left everything behind, we never got a job anymore, and we won't go back to a job. But we did several different things. So first of all, there's people that think all you need is to grow a page and money will come eventually. That's not how things work. So basically, our Instagram was giving us money in 3 different ways, and we focused more on one of them. So the 3 different ways was like, so we were growing our page, our audience in a specific market, which was people that are passionate about traveling and would like to do it full time. And that was the very important step. So you set up a market and you create content for them, and then you become an attractive channel for brands to advertise on. So that's the more popular mean to monetize Instagram, which is being paid by brands. Mm-hmm. So that's influencer marketing. It's what we least like. We don't like that world, and we left that behind. But I mean, if a brand, like a relevant brand, approaches you, I pay you this if you do this. I mean, it's sometimes hard to say no, but it's so hard to feel natural because it's not. So we don't like that. And then there was affiliate marketing, which is basically we associate with brand, with product, services we believe on and we use on, and we become like independent partners. And it's like these promo codes, these affiliate links. Yeah. And that we love that world because we choose who we work with, and we basically are selling things we use and believe on, and that creates there is a potential for um, passive income, which is not entirely passive, it's semi-passive, and we love that as well. But at the beginning, what was actually paying our bills was the third the third branch, which was like we we were showing our skills, and as building our brand developed our skills, and brands were seeing the skills we were developing, and those skills were starting to be interesting for these brands we were crossing our path with. So brands started paying us to use our skills in their brands. So basically being a freelance, these freelance jobs were a big part of our financial stability when we were starting. And all that only happened because we had to learn a lot to grow, like to develop our business. We had to learn a lot and develop these skills. And those skills started eventually to become interesting for these brands.
Can you give us some examples of the types of skills that gave you the opportunity to have some freelance work?
Yeah, so the first ones were very obvious, social media management. Like there was these brands we were, and this happened, we were in a hostel, in a very cheap hostel in Thailand, and there was this guy, this entrepreneur that were having, he was running this phone case company, and I was like, oh, I like your Instagram. And this is like basic networking. We just met a random guy in the hostel and we introduced ourselves, and we ended up showing our Instagram, and it's like, oh, I like your Instagram, maybe you can do something similar with ours. That was our first paid gig. And then we used them. So our audience was getting bigger and bigger, and some brands were contacting us for these influencer marketing campaigns that we don't like, but we use that as a hook. So for example, if an hotel, if an hotel calls us, we stayed in like amazing hotels. We're not going to be hypocrites. We stayed in amazing hotels without paying just because of our Instagram. But even though we didn't like the type of job, that's a door to everything else. So basically, when we stay for free for these 3, 4, 5 nights, we basically go there as a consultant, and we see what's not working. Oh, this company does not have a website. This company is not doing Facebook ads. This company is not writing articles. They could have a blog or whatever. And these are all skills that we developed on our business, and we use them to we use these service exchange agreements to basically break the ice and present our and pitch them, literally pitch them, and we use that a lot in the past.
Okay. And so I guess I should have asked this at the beginning, but obviously you finished university in Portugal, and then you went on this kind of journey to set up your Instagram. Did you just kind of leave Portugal and start the Instagram as you go, or did you spend some time here building up with like a Portuguese audience, or did you just travel and sort of set it up as you went along?
Yeah. So, and actually at the beginning we started everything in English, and this is a very common mistake for the Portuguese. So we just left everything behind. We booked the one-way ticket, and we started everything on the way. And we were developing things as we went. The first year was literally just a learning phase, probably more than a year. And we learned so much. We were studying like 6 hours each. I was with my ex-girlfriend at that time, and we were studying at least 6 hours each of stuff, digital marketing, everything in the digital marketing world. And yeah, the first year was very educational and growing our Instagram. And we started everything for the world, because we have this thing, why are we speaking in Portuguese if we can target the world? Portugal is such a small market, and it is, but the thing is, if you target the world, there's a world to compete with. So we started everything in English, and then eventually we changed to Portuguese, even though we both speak English. because there's not enough, just not enough people doing it in our country. And if it is a smaller market, yes, you will target less people, but you more easily become a reference, and that's what has been happening.
Yeah, I guess that's something interesting. Like, I think most people kind of assume that setting up, Instagram pages and services up in English are gonna, like you say, like target the world, but actually perhaps it's because there are already a lot of things out there, actually focusing on a country or a language obviously has paid off for you. So would you say that most of your audience is Portuguese from Portugal, or do you attract kind of all Portuguese speakers around the world, as well as obviously English and other language speakers, because Instagram can translate?
Um, that's also a funny question because there's Brazil that is like 20 times the size of Portugal, but we don't target, we just don't target them, even though we speak in Portuguese. The language is the same, but it's very different.
Mhm.
And yes, we have some Brazilian audience, but most of it is like 70+%, close to 80 is Portuguese from Portugal. And yeah, and the rest is just spread all over the place.
Yeah, interesting. So roughly speaking, how long do you think it took after setting up your Instagram and social media pages until you started generating an income, or until you started, I guess, getting paid for posts and things like that? How long roughly would you say it took?
um, I would say a year and a half to start being paid by brands, because that that freelance gig that we achieved just by using our Instagram as our portfolio, that happened like 6 months in, probably a little bit less.
Okay.
That's the thing, like for you to have like a big enough audience to be an attractive medium for brands, or you are very good and you grow it fast, or you are very different and there's not enough people targeting or building, creating content in your market. And that today is so difficult because there are so many pages on everything. What you can do, for example, if there's a new technology, a new thing happening, for example, I don't know, blockchain is not new, but for 5 years ago or whatever, or well, I mean, it's still new. It's still new. But if there's this new technology and you target that new thing, you have like a bigger chance of becoming a reference. But still, you have to be good because the velocity that the amount of pages that are created nowadays when there's this new thing, it's enormous because people know the faster you are, the bigger you get, and it's not an easy game. It's not an easy game, and we ended up started like we don't like this social media game. That's why we are like leaving it behind slowly and slowly. Even though there's a lot of people that follow us and like us, and we've built our confidence in front of the camera and all that. I mean, this social media game is not easy, and I encourage everyone that wants to get involved in the social media world to actually think about it, because it might be nice at the beginning, but if you're not passionate about this, you end up burning yourself. That's what happened to us.
Yeah. So I guess moving on to another aspect of what you do, the co-founder of Remote Portugal. So I'm guessing you started this after you'd kind of done your Instagram and whilst that was going on. So you have a team that co-founded Remote Portugal. Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys all met, how you got started, and what the idea of Remote Portugal is?
So yeah, so there's two questions. The first one, how we met, is actually a very funny thing. And on our businesses and the people we talk with, we always explain how important networking is in this world, in the entrepreneurship world in general. Like you have to go out there, like to go to specific places, go to events, like participate, and to create these connections, not only personal but who knows, professional. And that's what happened to us. So there was this event happening in the remote workspace, and we wanted to be part of it, but it was expensive, so we just applied as volunteers. And the founder of that event saw our work and invited us not to be volunteers, but to run a workshop in that event. And we ended up running the workshop. We sold out the workshop. It was very successful. So we we built a bond with the founder of that event, which is our co-founder of Remote Portugal, and we became friends. And then we decided, why don't we start this and that? And that's where Remote Portugal started. And yeah, so that's the co-founding team. Now we have like 50 people, and it's all mission-based. It's a very new project. It's like 1 year old, so there's no money involved yet. We are in that process now. It's a baby. But yeah, so the Remote Portugal is more. It was a project created for impact. So basically, our goal is to inspire and educate everything in the remote workspace in Portugal. And everything is, we have basically 3 different groups, 3 different pillars, as we call them. The first pillar is the individual one. So people that want to find the remote work, people that want to individually become remote workers to spend more time with family or travel the world as we do. That's the first one. The second one, which we haven't dived in too much because it's a complex one, which is helping companies to do the transition, especially with the pandemic. This is a very popular intent. Companies, like especially the tech and the digital companies, don't need an office. They don't need a headquarters. They don't need a team to live in one place. And that transition is beneficial in many different ways. So that's the second pillar. And the third pillar is infrastructures and events. We are always running events. I think events is a great way not only to share knowledge, but also to build connections. And infrastructures, for example, to help co-workings to be built. We have the biggest the biggest list of co-working spaces in Portugal. We are close to 80 spaces in Portugal. So we are basically building this bond with these co-working spaces and helping them setting their business, targeting their market, like have their business flowing. So we basically are connecting our audience with this list. So this network of co-working spaces is healthy and vivid. There's people coming in. So yeah, that's more or less what our mission. It's complex, especially because there's not money involved. So we're basically managing 50 different people connected by a mission, which is very complicated, but it's been a great challenge.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So when did you set up Remote Portugal? How long have you been running for?
1 year. It was last July, last August, something like that.
Okay.
Almost 1 year and a half. It's good.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So basically you have 2 sides of the business. You have the kind of side that's aimed at co-working spaces and businesses that need help in the transition of becoming adaptable for remote work. And then you also have the side of the business that helps out people that want to get into remote work. So I guess on your website, what do you offer to people that are looking to become remote workers? Like, do you have educational courses on there and things like that? What are kind of your goals for the future?
So yeah, our focus is on content, educational content, and until now we've been focusing on free content. But one of our next projects, which will be the first, I won't say the first, but the main money-making projects, and we are building our academy. And our academy will have from free courses, free content, to simple content, to like proper online courses that will be paid. So yeah, that's what we've been focusing. We will have a lot of guest courses, because we are not experts in everything. I mean, we're not experts in nothing particular, apart from Gonzalo, that has been focusing on the remote work. Is a remote work consultant. We're just a team of dreamers, let's say like that. But we want to bring in experts in different fields to build up our academy and be like the central, like the hub for educational content for remote, in the remote workspace.
And this is for basically people, is it Portuguese speakers, or can anyone in the world kind of access your website? Or are you're still targeting Portuguese? Like, is everything in Portuguese basically?
Yeah, that's, at least for now, it will be, we'll get it started in Portuguese. Once again, to become a reference, we have to focus. But yes, we want to make it bilingual or multilingual platform in the future. It's not a priority, to be honest, at the beginning, for now. But yeah, that's an idea we've been discussing.
Cool. Okay, so I just have one final question for you. Do you have one piece of advice or something that you would tell any of the people viewing today that's looking to start to but develop their own like digital nomad career? Would you have one piece of advice to give them?
Yes, actually, I'll relate that to one of the last piece of content that I've wrote, which is like, I understand this comfort zone is hard to leave, but you don't need that much to become a digital nomad. And all you need is like, it's a strong decision and action. A lot of people wait for the perfect moment to start, or they have enough energy, budget, social acceptance, or whatever. That perfect moment will not happen. And it's always more efficient to build your plane after you jump from the cliff. It might be a little bit anxiety will probably grow up, but the thing is, the necessity will make you make that work. So yeah, of course, it's I wouldn't say better, but it's easy to see the soft transition. Okay, now I have this life, I'll build up enough confidence or budget to transition into the other life. But it's just, you don't create enough will that way, or enough momentum. And by just jumping out the cliff, you'll figure things out during your way. So at the beginning, I started with a very limited budget, but I really wanted to. So what I found is like, at the first year, I was finding ways to be a digital nomad and not pay accommodation, which is totally possible. And I have, if there's people interested more in this, I'll invite them to visit our blog. We have like 7 different types of accommodation that you can use. And we had like complete months that we were paying like 0 for accommodation. You can like exchange work, couch surfing, house sitting. There's all these different things that you can do through on your way. And like, of course, you have to give your time. So basically, you whether pay with your money or you pay with your time. And at the beginning, when you don't have money, you have time. You can pay accommodation with your time and started rolling. And on the way, you'll meet people and you'll learn a lot. And of course, if you keep dedicating time to your businesses, into learning stuff, you'll eventually do the transition, like the it's missing the word, the jump. You'll make it work, basically.
Well, thank you very much. Right, thank you very much for chatting with us. We have a couple of questions to ask. So the first one is from Ahmed. He said, how about working in cloud engineering Is there a way to work as a digital nomad?
Of course. Oh my God, that's so much easier. I mean, that's so much easier than in my case. Like everything that, so the cloud, everything will be on the cloud. I mean, this is um, it's a fairly new technology, and everything is not everything, but more and more things are happening on the cloud. So of course, yes, everything that is digital skills and engineers are needed. I would say that's a lacking skill, and all you need is just look out for it. And that's definitely a needed skill. But I would I would ask myself, so this is a valuable skill. Do you want to be an employee with that skill? Do you want to work for others, or is there is an entrepreneurial thing that you'd like to explore on? Maybe you would associate with a startup, or maybe associate with someone else that has a nice idea. That's another topic that I always incentivate people to ask on. Is like, before determining, oh, what am I going to do, is like, what type of lifestyle do I want? Because maybe you don't like bosses, maybe you don't like schedules, you don't like to follow these rules. Maybe you explore the entrepreneurial side, but is less stable, is less predictable, but there's higher potential of impact and income. um,
Okay, thank you. We also have another question from James. What was the most difficult thing you encountered while setting up your online work?
Probably, and we've talked a little bit about it, probably is when you have something that is working financially for your business, but is not fulfilling you, like giving that away to follow your passions. It's totally important, but it's not easy, because you have to give up on something that is working. um, and that will happen several times throughout the process.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm sure there's many things that are difficult that you encounter along the way, but I guess you
Yes.
can learn to get over them. But yeah, okay. Well, we've come to the end of the session. So thank you so much for sharing how you got started with your Instagram, TravelB4Settle, and your website, Remote Portugal. And yeah, I hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you for having me, Becca. See you.
Thank you.